Okay, in this mini lecture, I'm also going to show you, I guess maybe another trick to the trade with MegaStat, where this time we're going to do a two-group difference of means test, but we're only going to work with summary data rather than with the entire data set. So in the previous mini lecture, I showed you how to do that routine in MegaStat with the one sample difference of means test. Now we're going to do the two group difference of means test, again, using summary statistics rather than the actual data itself. Okay? So all I did was create a little table for exam 1 and exam 2 that shows the descriptive statistics mean, standard deviation, and then of course the sample size. And we'll use this data rather than this data to do the two-group difference of means test. So the first thing that I'll do is I will go to add-ins and I will click on MegaStat. I drag down to hypothesis tests, and this time, since I'm going to compare two groups, and I'm treating them as independent even though you've already read and learned in earlier mini lectures that they're not, but I'm going to treat them as independent groups. Let me clear out my screen here. And again, normally you would work with data input, but on those occasions where you have summary data but not the actual data, you just click on summary input. And notice here the bold text. It says for each group, select ranges with the label, the mean, the standard deviation, and the sample size. That's the table that I've created down here for each group. So for group number 1, notice my cursor is blinking in that column, or in that row. For group number 1, I'm just going to highlight this column of data right here for exam number 2. I click in the box for group 2, and I highlight the column for exam 1. And again, you might say, well, why do you make exam 2, why do you make exam number 2 group 1 and exam number 1 group 2? I do it because I had the luxury of looking at the data and finding out that the observed mean for exam number 2 is slightly higher, and that way I'm working with positive numbers in my output rather than negative. So it's merely a matter of convenience. It doesn't change the p-value, it doesn't change the t-value at all. My hypothesized difference is still 0. We'll do the t-test because of our small sample size. 95% confidence interval. Let me remind you, that means there's a 5% likelihood of a type 1 error. And we're going to ask for the upper and lower bounds. So with our data all input now, we just click on OK. And notice the results that we get here. If I scroll up though, let me get rid of some rows here so that we can see them together. I don't know why we have such a large gap here. So now we have the hypothesis test that I had run earlier with the actual data, and here I have a same two-group difference of means test, but I worked with summary data. So you'll notice here that our descriptive statistics, whether I worked with the actual data or the summary data, my descriptive statistics are identical. Now I'll scroll down so I can catch. You can see here that our t-value and our p-value are nearly identical. 0.359 for my observed t, 0.7240 for my observed p. When I worked just with summary data, it's almost exactly the same, except I'm off by 0.0001 on my observed p-value. Negligible difference. And the same thing for the lower and upper bounds of our 95% confidence interval and our margin of error. The numbers between the two methods of running the difference of means test are almost identical. Here I had 7.614 for my margin of error. Here I had 7.6115. Okay, so it's a negligible difference attributable only to the fact that I rounded. When I worked with the summary data, I rounded my standard deviation, which causes the numbers to be off ever so slightly. So once again, this is just evidence where if you have summary data, such as the mean, the standard deviation, and your sample size, for two sets of data, rather than use the data routine, you can use the summary routine in MegaStat to calculate the two group difference of means. You get exactly the same results. Thanks.